when you look up and you realize you've barely moved forward. Some might tell you that quitting isn't that bad and that you need to learn when to quit. But not today. In order to achieve the goal, the dream life, that next step, it's gonna take time. And when I say time, I don't mean a couple months. And I don't mean a couple days. When I'm talking about time, it might take decades for you to get to where you want to be. How badly do you want it? Are you in for this shit? Or are you just another person who likes to talk? But that's the reality of the life we live in. That's how this shit works. Achieving anything is gonna take time. It's harder than it looks when you start. It takes longer than you think it's going to. Just pivot the focus. Turn your eyes to something else. Distract your mind. Stop focusing on the pain and focus on other things. I don't care what the situation is, and I don't care how long you've been grinding. There's always a positive turn. There's always a different perspective that you can lean into that will distract you from that loud ass voice telling you to quit. In order to become a diamond, not only do you got to deal with immense pressure, you got to deal with immense heat, and you got to get cut. You don't just wake up and decide to be a diamond. It's not like you just pull that rock out the fucking ground and it looks like the thing everybody wants. What you focus on will become your reality. So whatever you want to achieve in life, maybe it's losing a certain amount of weight to become the best version of yourself. Maybe it's building a business to provide financial freedom for your family and to travel the world. Or maybe it's just being a better father, mother, or partner for your spouse. Whatever it is, it's all on you. Enough is enough. I didn't want to be like everybody else. I wanted to be the best at everything I did. I want to be remembered forever. And in order for that to happen, I realized I needed to act like it. Because being an average human being, being a sheep like the rest, isn't going to get me there. This is something you all need to understand. If you want to be the best in whatever you do, you got to start acting different than everybody else. If you want the nicest car, if you want to live in the nicest neighborhood, if you want the nicest clothes, the nicest jewelry, the nicest partner, the best of everything comes with a price. It comes from grinding through those late nights. It comes from grinding through those early mornings. It comes from those exhausting days where every fiber of your body is telling you to give up. If you want to separate yourself from other people in the world, you got to start acting differently. And it starts with taking responsibility for your life. You see, every day you are presented with two paths. One path leads to your true potential. It leads to that first class ticket. It leads to that fancy car. It leads to that fancy house. It leads to those dreams you have every single night when you close your fucking eyes. Today, we stand up and we choose to become who we want to be in this world. To choose to achieve everything. To choose to chase our fucking goals and our dreams and our aspirations, regardless of what's going on. You got to become relentless.
Good morning, everyone. That was some good, some powerful stuff. If you want to make a change, you got to grind all night through everything, no matter how much pain, no matter how much you don't want to. And I love that. That's a great message. That is a great message, and I love it, especially for those people who want to become entrepreneurs. It's not easy. The reason why you want to become an entrepreneur is because you want to have time freedom. And the crazy thing is, it's like you got to give up time now in order to get time freedom forever. And so I love that message so much. So I was definitely excited to be able to share that with you guys. But good morning. I hope everything is going well. I'm extremely excited, as I told you guys yesterday, that I would have a special guest on today. And this gentleman he's helped me out a lot. I helped him out a lot, both with our businesses. And I'm excited to be able to have him today because he is an expert at different strategies to help you out with retirement planning. There's so many different things that you can talk about. And most people don't even know what kind of options are out there. Most people know simply just about 401ks, and that's fine. Or they know about mutual funds. But a lot of times, depending on your specific situation that you're in, those might not even be the best options for you. Right? We talk about so many different types of individual strategies that are out there for those of you who are looking to become financially stable, financially free. And then also some of you guys who are looking to become entrepreneurs. Especially if you're not looking to become an entrepreneur, you don't have a company that's just going to provide you a 401k. So what kind of strategies are out there for you to make sure that not only are you preparing for the future, but you're also able to continue pouring into yourself until you get to that future. And Gerard here is going to be able to help out with that. I'm just super excited because this gentleman also has a background very similar to mine, as I told you guys before. Now, I was in the Marine Corps, and so was he. And with that, he's provided tons of value to individuals across the industry. He started off in a insurance industry role where he had his own company there as well. And from at that point, he was only helping out, just as many people as he could in that one area. And then whenever he switched and started building his business and changed everything around, he's been providing so much more value about just total financial fitness across the entire industry. And so I'm extremely excited to be able to have him here today because obviously on Tuesdays, the blueprint that the podcast provides you guys is your financial products and that blueprint. Like what things can you do and what is the exact route for some financial piece. The last Tuesday, we specifically talked about how to utilize new home buying strategies. And today, we're going to talk about how to identify the status quo retirement planning versus utilizing utilizing certain other kinds of products and opportunities out there for you. So with that being said, Gerard, thank you for being here, brother. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to be able to be here with our community here at the Success Blueprint. But man, I just love to hear a little bit about you, the value that you've tried to bring, why you do what you do, why you've kind of changed, taking your journey, from where you started, military, building your businesses and things like that. So,
yeah, I appreciate being on here, Charming, and just for everyone out here listening, I'm here, want to help Charming out, and Charming helps a lot of people as well. A lot of people in our organization. So he's a leader to look up to. One of the best decisions I ever made is going to the Marine Corps. It's a brotherhood for life. And, I've had different businesses over the years. I've done mortgage, business to business. I've done health insurance, supplemental insurance, which is like accident, disability, cancer, life insurance, estate planning, retirement planning, and asset protection. And I've seen both sides of an advisor, what Charming was talking about. Used to be only set up to help really the 5%, the wealthy. And when I came over this organization, realized that there's a way to help everyone, middle-class Americans, because those are the ones that are drowning in things like debt consolidation, no cash flow, and not having emergency funds. So when I moved over to this organization, being able to help a lot of people, especially to help our own brotherhood, people in active duty and veterans, that was an opportunity for me because I've always wanted to help veterans, just couldn't figure out how to do it when I was only helping that 5%. And moving over to this organization now, we can do that. Years ago when I was in mortgage, I would just cringe. Sometimes people were, 50 years old, buying a new house. This is going back 20 years ago. Buying a new house, they didn't need to. Their house was fine, and they were overspending. They didn't have anything in retirement. But as a mortgage loan officer, it wasn't my place to say anything, and I never did. But now, as a trusted advisor, I can and I do discuss these financial things with clients. So, I've got a lot of experience in the industry, but I'm still learning. There's still things to learn. So, just excited to be here on your podcast.
Hey, nice. And so I think that one of the toughest things about trying to help people understand different opportunities out there is ultimately that they don't learn about these things as they grow up, or nobody tells them, or just a lot of advisors out there prefer for people to utilize very specific strategies because they get paid on it, right?
Yeah,
And so
there's a lot of
yeah.
misconceptions out there. A lot of people think that certain plans or strategies are not for them because they think they're only for the rich. And the problem today is the financial industry is very biased. So, for example, if someone goes to 3 different professionals, they get 3 different answers. Go talk to a banker. They'll tell you the best place to put your money is in the bank, right? Money market savings, CDs, because that's what they sell. You go talk to a securities broker or a stockbroker, they're going to tell you the best place to put your money is stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, because that's what they sell. Go talk to an insurance agent, and they'll tell you the best place to put your money is life insurance or annuities, because that's what they sell. Now, all 3 are important. They're weighted differently depending on things like your age, your risk tolerance, your goals. So that's all important. Now, the securities industry, the banking industry, and the insurance industry normally don't work together. They typically compete with each other. And the problem is the client only gets one piece of advice, or what I call one slice of the pie. And the problem is they're not getting a complete plan. There's so many things to consider when building a financial plan, not just selling an individual product, which is typically what happens.
Yeah. I think that going to people and individuals just to have them sell them a specific plan kind of sucks, because there's not a lot of times people don't talk about the negatives to a lot of the different financial products out there, especially like specifically retirement. Like I don't want to gamble my retirement. So like let's say that for me, I'm a client who is terrified of the stock market. What kind of like it? And let's say I go to a financial advisor to get assistance, but I tell them that typically, what kind of things do they tell me? If I say I don't like the stock market for my retirement, what would a financial advisor ultimately tell me to do? What were they telling me to put money for retirement?
So really, it depends on what they sell. But if you're talking to like a stockbroker, like you're saying, they're going to try and sell them anything that they have. And I'm not saying the market's bad, but we definitely want to diversify for 2 reasons. One, to reduce risk or eliminate risk. And 2, we don't want everything in a tax deferred bucket, which is all those qualified plans. Let's think about this. If you retire someday and you have $1 million, what do you actually have? We don't know, because we have no idea what the tax rate exactly is going to be. We're pretty sure that taxes are going to go up. When you look at, we're 35 trillion in debt, and we've got, unfunded 26 trillion in Social Security, 42 trillion in Medicare. Then you got Medicaid, all these things. Like there's just no way that taxes could possibly go down. And so when you do retire some of these accounts, and you have a huge tax liability, and taxes are going to be probably higher, and you've got this tax liability, and the cost of everything's going up, and your income is technically going down, let's say, because of taxes. it's kind of a disaster. So being able to understand the different products and the different strategies out there is really important. And middle class America, until we really get a hold of them and talk to them and educate them, which is our first part of the process of educating of what is available to them, there's a huge misconception that they just don't think there's anything for them.
Yeah. So I know you have an example of something that you've been able to like show and help out with some of your clients. But first, I want to kind of talk a little bit about like different generations. Like I'm talking like baby boomers down to like millennials, Gen Xers. I think that's the newest. A lot of them, depending on where you are in life, feels like, well, retirement planning isn't for me. I'll think about this later on. And it's crazy because like I know specifically too, working with families, that a lot of them they do either push off, especially if they're younger, and then as if they're younger, 18, 19 years old, and they're pushing retirement planning off. What kind of challenges have you seen with that idea?
Well, keep in mind, we were that age once too. And,
Yeah,
there was other
that's true.
things that are more important, like women and cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, now what I know now from being then, it is important to get started as soon as possible. Even if you're putting $50, $100 a month away, just getting used to doing it. And it's very important because, we all know the longer period of that you're saving money and it's compounding, I mean, that money grows. And the
Yep.
longer time frame you have to do that, the better. So it's really just an educational thing with these younger guys. But sometimes we got to remember we were there too. And back in the day, for us, it wasn't a priority. But I think people are getting smarter. Like I'm talking to a lot of these guys now that are active duty and they're young guys, and some of them have their money in like high yield savings accounts and stuff. Now that stuff that wasn't available when we were in back when I was in 26 years ago. But I think these guys are getting a little more educated, and now they do have a TSP in the military to put towards their retirement, which I think is great. So I think the education's getting a little better, but it's always really been piss poor, really. I mean, I graduated high school 36 years ago. I learned how to drive at 16. Okay, kind of par for the course back then, but now they're still doing the same stupid stuff now. And, these kids graduate with very little education about finances. I think they should have, a lot more education on it, what I call to sum up, the good, the bad, the ugly about finances. I think our country would be in a lot better position if in high school, before they go to college, before you go in the military, you learn a lot about finances. And that would be a huge help for a lot of people.
What about those baby boomers at this point? What kind of issues do you identify that they struggle with?
Well, the baby boomers actually have the largest transfer of wealth that's happening now. So, they call them the greatest, the greatest generation, and then my generation, the following Gen X, we kind of fell off, not as nearly as many babies and stuff. But there's definitely opportunity out there with the baby boomers. There's a huge transfer. I think I read somewhere $70 trillion transfer of wealth in the next X amount of years while they're transitioning. And so that is a huge opportunity. That's a great opportunity to be in this business, not only to help people make good money, but, during the process, you get a great education yourself and learning how to handle your finances, how to invest better, wiser, smarter, grow, protect. There's a lot of good information that we learn.
I want to share with you. I want to show you something cool that I'm sure you probably already know, but this is There we go. Close. So, yeah, I was trying to pull it up a little bit ago, but it's all right. All right, so this is like 401ks, and it's crazy because like most people think that 401ks are the bomb diggity, which hey, in some cases they are. But I've got this here that I want to share with everybody, and I might have said it before, but when it comes to like a 401k, the crazy thing, and I can't wait for Gerard to show you guys, is just that when it comes to a 401k, there's a certain amount of money that you can put into your 401k per year. And in 2024, that amount is $23,000 a year. All right, so that's total contributions. That's if you as the employee put in, and then also your employer, total contributions per year. Now, like speaking of, we were talking about younger people. Let's say that you are 25 years old and you maximally fund your 401k. You put in a full $20,000 or $23,000 per year up until you're 65 years old, right? At that point, let's just say, and we're going to predict that the market does not, or that the accounts that your money is in does not grow, it does not drop. At that point, where is my calculator? You got 40 years of putting in $23,000, which sounds absolutely amazing, right? Now, obviously, you can predict that, the market will go up, be down. Right now, I think on average, they're around 6 to 8%, Gerard, for 401ks, maybe.
Range, yeah.
I think 6 to 8%ish, but that's not per year. That's maybe it's on average, kind of, right? A lot of things. But let's just say that that's all. We have a total of $920,000 in that account. All right. By that point, just from all the money you put in, if we're only predicting that. And the cool thing, and this is something that I know Gerard's going to teach you guys about, because I'm sure he's very aware of it, is the safe withdrawal rate. The safe withdrawal rate means that you can take out 4% per year from your retirement account without running out of money before you pass away. So if I take out 4% of what I have, whatever I actually have, because this might be a lot less, might be more, this is going to be times 0.04. I can take out $36,800 per year in retirement, which, I mean, for some people, this is not a bad number. That's not a bad number. This is like, okay, you can be able to take a few trips per year and like, that's about it. However, then you think of taxes, and then you think of also your inflation and how much this will actually worth at that point in time. And then also think about the fact that over the course of that time, your money was doing this, right?
There's a couple other factors too. When you go to retire, you lose some write-offs. Like if your house is paid off, you're not contributing to your 401k anymore. So you lose some deductions as well.
Yeah. Not contributing. Then also you've got so many different things. And that's just 401k. IRAs, Gerard, IRAs, what is it? The max that you can put into an IRA is 7,000 this year, right?
Yeah. And you could do it if you're 50 or older, you can put in an extra 1,000. They call it a catch up.
50 plus 8. And this is if you took all of the money and you put as much in as possible. And you started 20. Imagine somebody saying, I'm going to start retiring now. And I'm 35 years old. I'm going to just put everything I got into my 401k. Whew. Yeah, it's not even going to be worth. It's probably barely going to be worth what it is today. But I want to share that with you guys because what I think Gerard is going to show you here is how do you start to think and open up your mind to different options out there for retirement planning and the types of things that you can ultimately do. I'm sure he has an example. He's going to teach you guys as well, just like I love to teach you guys with some really nice graphics as well. But Gerard, if you be so kind to be able to share why specifically matching a 401k to an IRA to other strategies like indexing strategies, like I talked before, are so important to be able to see.
Yeah, let me do that. One thing I wanted to share real quick was,
Go ahead.
give me a second here. Share screen. I don't think the pictures. Okay, let me just get rid of that. So there's different buckets. Let's just call it buckets. And so it's important to understand that you want to be able to diversify and put your money in different places. There's tax now, which is your bank account, CD, money market, and brokerage, and that's money that we've already paid tax on, right? You got paid from your paycheck, you paid tax on it, and then when you put in your bank account, the CD, the money market, the brokerage account, whatever interest that grows, we pay tax on it again. And then you have tax deferred, which is your qualified accounts, which is anything that you've put in pre-tax. So your IRA, your 401k, your TSP, 403b, your pension, those are tax deferred. So you don't pay tax now. At some point, you pay tax in the future. So for example, let's say that you worked for a company for 30 years. And you put in $200,000 on your 401k or one of those qualified accounts over that time, and it grew to $1 million when you go to retire. Well, the problem is now you're going to get taxed on that million because the government didn't want to tax you at the 200,000. They wanted to tax you at the 1 million. And the problem I've seen sometimes when people have done financially well, and maybe they didn't need the money, they wanted to save it for a legacy for like their kids, their grandchildren. There's a thing called RMDs, or required minimum distributions. The government forces them, whether they want to or need the money, forces them to take that out. And the end result is sometimes, excuse me, they end up in a higher tax bracket, pay more taxes, and they're depleting their retirement account. And then the last bucket is the tax advantage, like the Roth IRA, the cash value life insurance. And so there's 3 different buckets here we want to make sure that we're diversifying in. And so, this is a smart strategy to be able to do that and not just putting all your money in the market like the 401k. So I'm a visual person, so I start this way with clients and show them the difference of what I call the status quo, which is an IRA or 401k, one of those accounts, versus an IUL. And so there's really 3 things that we can control during our retirement: where you save it, how much you save it, or how much you save, and when you retire. And actually, I should, after talking to Charming now, I should add in there, how long you save, because that's important too. Yep. So the problems and the risks with the status quo is unnecessary taxes. And if you're not aware, in the last 80 years, besides 2 years or 3 years in the 80s, our tax brackets federally are at the lowest point they've been in 80 years. So, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But, there's problems with the status quo, which is the IRA, 401k, TSP. We have unnecessary taxes. We have risk of market losses. And then even maybe not having enough for retirement or outliving your income. And so we all want the same thing. We want more income. We want to pay little taxes as possible. Most of us who are aware, we want to avoid that roller coaster ride. And we want peace of mind so we can sleep at night. And I always ask people, what do you think the average stock market return is? I let them guess.
Did I give this answer away?
Oh, sorry, what was that?
Did I give this answer away?
I don't know. What did you say?
Did I give this answer away early when I was talking about the 401k?
Well, you were in the market, so you were right there. So I added this slide in. You didn't see this one, Charming, but the reality is it's about 5.89. Is if you look over the years from 2000 down to 2002, the red is the 7 years where the market had a negative return, and the green is 5 years where it had over a 20% return. But this is called a sequence of returns, and so it's very important because if you retire in a year that's especially a down market, like if you retired here in 2008, like other people did, and you lost 40% of your money right here, and you're pulling money out, that's like a double negative. And so the average rate of return I have to take this out. That's including fees. Average 1.25 to 1.5 of brokerage fees, because when you have these qualified accounts, there's people paid to manage this. They're not really managing it, but they're paid to do it. So 5.89%. And then Charming talked about this. This is standard in the industry. Safe withdrawal rate is 4%, so you don't run out of money. Now, the IUL and something like that, you can take out more, and the reason is because you don't have to contend with losses, where in the market you do. And as I mentioned in our history of our tax rates, right here, 1945, we're over 90%. That was our tax rate. And look, that went all the way here to the early 60s. So from 45 to 60s, our highest federal tax bracket was over 90%. That red line you see, that's where we are today. 37% is our highest federal tax bracket. And if you look, and if that was an iceberg, there's a lot of that iceberg above the red versus below, meaning that we're at a low point in taxes right now. And so I show them, if you were putting in $12,000 a year into your retirement, and you had 25 years to save, and the average return rate was 5.89%, but I actually stepped it up and said, okay, let's do best case scenario. So the only thing I changed here is I added in the company match. So let's say your company was matching, half. So they put in 6,000. Now you're putting in 18,000 a year over 25 years. And so when I go to investor.gov, so we put in, and I can show you here, we can put in the numbers right here. Monthly contribution. So 18,000 is 1,500 a month, 25 years. And I do this right in front of them.
Gerard, are you showing, are you on investor.gov right now?
Yeah, you can't see it?
No, sir. You want to go ahead and switch over?
I don't know how to do that. So
you should be able to come back down to share screen and.
Oh, I got to share a new screen?
Yes. Yep.
All right. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, I'm not too good with this sharing stuff. So
it's all right.
All right. Let's see.
I got to do it all the time, and I get uber confused.
Okay. Normally, when I just click on my tabs, it changes. So, okay. So we have zero initial investment, 1,500 a month, which is 18,000 a year, 25 years, 5.89, and I just put a 0, and then I calculate, and it tells you right here, 972,397 right there. So I actually take a snapshot of this, and so let me go back.
Nice.
Are you seeing back to the presentation?
Oh, you're gonna have to reshare.
All right. Oops,
I think here on Google Chrome, there's like you have to like click over to screen in order to just go back and forth, and just share the screen. But
yeah, it's not. Let's see. Stop sharing. Let me go back to. I'm not. Oh, okay. Hold on. There we go. I got to go back to. Sorry, I had to go back to this main page here. So, all right. So let me go back.
It is all right.
Okay.
That's how we do it.
So we're back, right?
Yep.
All right. And as you can see, 972,397. So I do this right in front of them. I did it in advance to have it on here, but I go and live and show them so they can see. So if we take that 972,397 and we use the safe withdrawal rate, why? Because that's what the industry standard is. And that comes out to a pre-tax income per year of just about 39,000. And so I used the effective tax rate. I just added in 20% for effective tax rate. That's not even including a state tax if you live in a state that has tax. Now, I live in Las Vegas in Nevada. We don't have state tax, but so anyway, I didn't include it. 20%. We take the 20% out, and so that leaves you with a yearly income of 31,000. Now, keep in mind, this is 25 years in the future. That 31,000 is not a lot to live off of today. In the future, it's going to be even less. So I show them how much do you need in retirement. Is this enough income for your dreams, your goals? Go traveling, put kids in college, have no debts, pay off your house, weddings, all these things that come. So most people aren't aware of this, who gets paid before you're on your 401k before you do. The mutual fund company or target date fund gets paid. The plan manager gets paid. The sales rep gets paid. The IRS gets paid, and then you. So let's look at a better alternative. And by the way, if you guys are football fans, Jim Harbaugh from the University of Michigan, head coach in 2016, was the highest paid coach in history with the IUL product. And so it shows his name here. It shows here the insurance wrapper, which is the IUL. And then under this split dollar agreement, so University of Michigan paid $2 million 7 times into this life insurance policy for him. And the end result is at age 66, he could start taking out $1.4 million a year tax-free. That is awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
And I think they've been trying to recruit him for a long time. I think he just got recruited into I know his brother is coach for the pros, but I think he's going to be coach in San Diego now. But he still has this plan because it's paid.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just talks about the bottom one. It's risk-free. So we've got, I wouldn't exactly call him an ordinary person, but he's got an IUL, which is, it's a great product. A lot of different things wrapped up in, the IRC 7702 tax code. It's got guarantees, it's tax-free, and it's risk-free. By the way, everyone recognizes these names. Ray Kroc, when he started McDonald's, he pulled cash out of his cash value life insurance to start McDonald's. Now, same concept, different product at the time, but same concept. Walt Disney, if you've ever heard the story of him, he went around to like hundreds of people to invest with him in Disney World. He pulled cash out of his life insurance policy to start Disney. And J.C. Penney is famous for pulling cash out of his life insurance policy during the Great Depression to actually fund the company and employees' paychecks.
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at the best case scenario, and I didn't even include fees or losses in there, which is obviously unrealistic, but best case scenario, or when we do end up putting the same amount of money and everything into the IUL. As a matter of fact, there was no company match, so I only put in $12,000 into the IUL. Same parameters, everything. That person would be able, instead of taking $31,000 a year, they would be able to get approximately $115,000 a year. That is a 272% increase. And there's also a death benefit that would pass on tax-free to their heirs as a legacy. And so I go into these steps and I just show them the last few slides here. I always tell them, okay, this is just your information. These are the indexes that we invested in, and I just diversified here. So for the following slides, just ignore this because this will stay the same. So you have a person, this is year one and their corresponding age. They're putting in $1,000 a month. So keep in mind, there's no company match here. They're not putting in 18,000. They're putting in 12.
Yeah.
Their death benefits rising slightly. Okay, so we just fast forward. Oh, I just show them this. Just ignore that, and then ignore that. We don't follow this because that would be if you use more of the fixed. We never use the fixed in this product.
Yeah.
So we go on down to year 20. They put in 240,000, but look at where the cash values grow in here: 386,000. Death benefits 526,000. And then I show them at age 65, they stopped paying. So they put in $300,000 over those 25 years. Look at where the cash value is, almost 590,000. The death benefit is up to 719, and now they're able to pull these what we call policy loans, which they don't have to pay back, 115,000 a year, tax free. And keep in mind, while they're doing this policy has living benefits, chronic, critical, and terminal illness, which can be used in case of major illness, heart attack, stroke, cancer. They go into a rest home. They can use the cash out of this to pull out to help with that. So the end result is here at 80 years old, they put in 300,000. They've pulled out 1.7 million in tax-free money.
Yeah.
Now the death benefit's going down, as you can see. The cash is still accumulating, but I think this is the last slide here. Yeah, I ran it to age 90. So again, they only put in 300,000 in the green box here. Now they pulled out 2.8 million. And there's one more slide. And finally, if they live to age 95, again, they've only put in 300,000 because they stopped paying at age 65. They were able to pull out $3.4 million over the course of those years, and the death benefit was $1.486 million. And so this is why this is so important to understand that there's different products out there. We always recommend, you can see me now, right?
Yep.
Stop sharing. Okay. This is why it's so important that we make sure that people understand these three buckets. Put money in the tax for just your emergency money. You want to make sure you have at the maximum 6 months in there. If you have an IRA, 401k, a pension, put in up to what your company is matching. Okay. And then we'll use the rest of that money. You can put some in a Roth 401k if you want, or Roth IRA. And then we'll put because you're only limited with the Roth. You can only put in, as Charming said, 7,000 a year. Now, a lot of these IUL policies you can put in significantly higher. We can design them that you can put in a lot more money, and they're just great policies. And so, by adding the IUL strategy to your portfolio, you have a death benefit from day one. You've got tax-free growth, tax-free income, policy loans that you can pay back or you don't have to pay back. You've got living benefits, the chronic, critical, and terminal. No IRS rules against withdrawals and penalties. So if you're not quite 59 and a half yet, you can pull money out tax-free and no penalty, unlike a qualified account. And there's no RMDs at age 73 that you have to deal with and pay tax to the government. And you have a guarantee against losses. There's no other product can do that. Every other product out there, I say is kind of a one-trick pony, so to speak. They'll do one thing, like take a stock. Okay, you can make money in a stock, but also does one other thing. You can lose money in a stock, but you don't have all these benefits. Now, I'm not knocking stocks. I'm just saying that the IUL product, hands down, the right person at the right time and designed properly, is hands down an awesome product to put in your portfolio to diversify.
Yeah. Speaking of the stocks, that's another. Thanks for bringing that up, because I kind of want to share again a little bit about the stock piece. So for stocks, because right there, you aren't saying get rid of your stocks completely, but let's just say that someone has money in the stocks, right, in some way, shape, or form, and they love having their money there. Obviously, let's say that this, wow, okay, I'll do this. There we go. Okay.
That's a straighter line.
Yeah. Okay. I'm having a tough time here. Okay. We got this. So let's say that you've got your money in a stock market and it's having these years, right? Not realistic, but realistic. And you've got these specific moments where, where's blue? Oh, right here. You have these specific moments where your money's down, right? Obviously, in these years, you don't want to. It sucks for you. Obviously, people much prefer these years, right? And this is why people love the market so much, because you have these crazy awesome returns. But now, obviously, this is great for why you are, let's say, growing 25 to 65. And this is what a lot of people think of, right? Whether it's 65 to 25. But what about after? Right? What about when
the
you are in
accumulation
retirement?
phase, when you're growing
Exactly.
money for retirement, is a lot different. It's totally different than when you're withdrawing.
Yep. So withdrawal or retirement. Now, here's the thing that I think a lot of people miss out on whenever they're dealing with the stock market, especially if they aggressively love the stock market. Like you said, you're not saying like take all your money out of the stock market, but think about this, right? If this is during your retirement ages and you're having these negative years, if you're taking money out, like you said, if you take it out 4%, you lost a lot of money here. You lost a lot of money here, and you still need to take out money for your retirement. And that's crazy because you've already lost so much money and you're going to lose more money by pulling money out.
You're definitely going to shorten the length of if your retirement was going to last you 30 years and you have these losses and you're pulling out during the down cycles, when the losses, you could significantly shorten the years that your retirement will last.
Yeah. And I think that while doing this, I think it's important to understand that, well, if you know for sure that you always have something like your indexing strategy that you just showed, where you're never going to take guaranteed losses, right? Even if it's growing like this, right? Maybe the highs are not as high, right? But I think it's important to realize that in this down year right here, let's say this is 2050, instead of taking money from here, you can leave your money there, keep that money fine. And in 2050 over here, you just take money from your indexing strategy, from your IUL instead. And
Great
that
strategy.
allows you to keep it much longer, right?
100%.
Yeah. These years that you're down, this is why it's like perfect. Even if you love the stock market and you've done really great, there's going to be down years. And so if you know that you have a nice little cushion down here, smiley face, you have a nice little cushion down here, that at that point you can take tax-free loans from your indexing strategy instead of from the stock market. That's ultimately would put you in an even worse situation, because it will happen, right? Like you've got 65 to 100 plus, right? Or whatever the case is. You're going to have negative years. In those negative years, you definitely don't want to pull money out, especially anyone who knows that has money in the stock market and it actively or aggressively funds their accounts that way, they know that there's going to be negative years. Just don't let those negative years be a year where you also need to take out from here. And it's much better to be able to have a cushion where you know for sure that you can be able to do this. Plus, I don't know, cool thing for me is if I'm having these great years, I'm taking some of that money and putting it over here. That's what I'm doing. But that's just a little bit more obviously, like people like to have much more money in their stock accounts as well. But
100% agree.
Yeah, I think that is probably one of the other little cool pieces is just that, like you said, maybe it's not it's not this or that. It's a matter of diversifying it. And now as you're doing that, you're also paying taxes on that stuff. But some people don't care. But I mean that was great. I definitely appreciate you explaining that. One last thing, and there's a lot of stuff out there about IULs, right? Specifically that they are very costly. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think it's people that don't really understand. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, there are people out there that don't know how to structure them properly. Just like there's bad stockbrokers out there, there's bad insurance agents. And when they're done right, the cost of insurance over time costs less than it actually costs to have your broker manage your money at 1.25% or 1.5%, sometimes even 2% of your money. And keep in mind that, when your money's with a brokerage account, you're losing money, you're still paying that fee. With the IUL, there is no loss. So, but the other big major difference too is even though there's a cost that they're comparing, you have a life insurance policy because that's what everything is wrapped up in. When you're paying your broker 1.5% in fees, that fee is going to the broker and the salesperson.
Like the 401ks.
If your fees are 1.5% a year in an IUL, well, a huge portion of that is the cost of insurance. So, I think it's really people that aren't really understanding how the product works. Dave Ramsey is a big one. David McKnight, the guy that did The Power of Zero, just did a video on that where Dave Ramsey talks about IUL is terrible, this and that. And I'm just blown away that Dave Ramsey, a national figure, is absolutely clueless about an IUL. He's talking about whole life. We haven't done whole life in an IUL in 30 years. So I don't even know what this guy's talking about. But the end result is a lot of times when you talk to brokers, they don't like annuities. They don't like life insurance because their brokers don't allow them to sell it. Why? Because think about this. If they talk you out of buying an annuity or putting your money into one of these cash value life insurance policies, we get paid on it once on the sale to help the client. When they take your money and they manage that money for 10 or 20, 30 years, that's an income stream for them for 10, 20, 30 years. So whose interest do you really think that they have? Now, again, I just want to make it clear, I'm not against the stock market. But when brokers tell you to diversify your money, that's exactly what we're teaching people to do.
Another thing is, these IULs cost insurance companies tens of thousands of dollars to be able to create and set up. Like the cost just to the insurance company itself is so dramatically high. And the crazy thing is that there's a lot of companies out there that can provide IULs. And so with, let's say you've got mom and pop insurance company selling IUL, and IUL costs them $20,000 to set up for someone. Yeah, they might end up having to put some of those extra fees into that IUL for that individual client. But you talk about some companies like Nationwide or Transamerica or Pacific Life or Symetra, these powerhouse companies with millions and billions of dollars, $20,000 wouldn't be anything for them, so they can bite that fee. And I think that so many people, because obviously like Nationwide, Symetra, these A+ rated companies, they're not going to just work with anybody, right? And so I think that so many people who do have access to creating these indexing strategies, IULs, they don't have those top rated companies with billions of dollars. So that don't need to charge those clients those insane amounts of fees. I think
I read somewhere it takes companies 7 years to get their money back. And keep in mind, the IUL is a long-term strategy. It's not something that you're going to put money in for 3 years and then, say, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. When you start working for a company, you're 20 years old, 25, 30, you're going to be working till probably 60 or 65. We all wish we wouldn't, or we have dreams of retiring earlier, but when you're putting money in that retirement account, that's not going to be a 2 or 3 or 5 year thing. It's long term. And people have to understand with the IUL, the longer you have it. And the other thing too is what I love about the IUL, it's extremely flexible. So as you know, Charming, once a policy is in place, a lot of things can change. You go buy a house, go buy a car, you don't like the payment, you don't like the terms. Okay, you could change it, but you either have to sell it or go to the bank and refinance it and go through the whole process again. With the IUL, all you have to do is call your agent, call the company. Hey, I want to stop paying at this age, or I want to pay longer. I need to pull money out. It's extremely flexible, this policy. And so, again, when structured properly, they're really hard to beat.
Oh, Gerard, thank you for being able to share it with our community, because I think this is definitely one key piece to the blueprint to your individual financial success. And so definitely appreciate you sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us. And for everyone else, hopefully you got the chance to have a little bit of this financial blueprint that you can take with you. Definitely be sure to reach out to me. I can get you guys a hold of Gerard on this retirement planning strategy as well. But Gerard's like LinkedIn and contact information will also be in the description below as well. And if you're listening from Spotify, howdy. And also his information will be over on YouTube as well. So Gerard, thank you for today.
It's a pleasure to be on here, and good to see you, Charlie.
Of course. Yes, you too. So with that, guys, have an amazing day. Tomorrow we've got what is on the list for tomorrow? Tomorrow we've got types of ways to enhance your business, especially if you're a business owner who does anything in the realm of working with other individuals and prospecting, how to be able to accurately talk and build good, genuine relationships with people, to be able to work with them and build them up. So I'm excited for the rest of this week, but you guys have a beautiful day. Go and do great things today, and I shall see you guys tomorrow morning. See you guys.
Take care.
No, this is real. You need to love pain.
It gets harder for anybody that's living and breathing. So no matter what you do, you got to keep moving forward. Strong in the trenches.
You don't know where you're going. You're lost. You know what I mean? You have no direction. So for me, I felt like both of them together, when you have the vision and you're able to manifest, but then you also put the work in, magic happens, man. Magic. That's where the magic is. But a lot of people never get there. Unfortunately, we're blessed that we can dream.
Right? I got to get stronger.